Hi students, I hope you all are doing well and are having good health. So, have you seen any animals that don't move? By the phrase don't move, I didn't mean that they are not motile. Animals are motile, but there are some organisms that move so slowly and cover a small distance in such a large time that they seems almost non-motile. So organisms like snails, then organism mostly that belong to the kingdom, the phylum Porifera, they are non-motile or sessile organisms. So you have learned the different the process of reproduction, right, and how it is important in life of an organism, life of a living organism. So I am asking you a question. These organisms that belong in the phylum Porifera, they does not move. How do they reproduce? How can they reproduce? Yes, they reproduce mostly through asexual method of reproduction. So that is one aspect of asexual reproduction. Then another one is, you have seen small microorganisms like in microscope, bacteria and amoebas, protozoans, the paramecium, amoebas, euglenias, etc. So these organisms, they are so small and they are found everywhere in this earth. They are found in every water reservoirs. They are found in protozoans are found in soil. Protozoans are even flying through the air. So I'm asking you, how come these small microorganisms are of large number? How come? Like if you are considering human beings or other big animals, we can actually count the number of those organisms, right? But what about these microorganisms? They are of millions and millions and billions and zillions amount of microorganisms are present in this biosphere. So how these microorganisms produce such large number? That is also due to asexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction is actually a reproduction that involves a single parent, and through the single parent the offsprings are produced. And the main advantages of asexual reproduction is that the organisms that are involved in asexual reproduction can reproduce in unfavorable conditions, can reproduce in large quantity or large numbers. Then it can reproduce an offspring that is exactly similar to its parents. So the offspring will be well adjusted to the environment. So there is a big chance for survival. So these are the advantages of asexual reproduction. Now we shall see the different methods of asexual reproduction in kingdom Animalia. So let's watch a small video. In last class, we saw what is reproduction, a glimpse of different types of reproduction in animals and plants. Today, we shall see asexual reproduction in animals. So, asexual means there is no involvement of mating types or sexes in the process of reproduction. So, in asexual reproduction, we can define it as the process by which an offspring is produced from a single parent. So, the offspring will be exactly like that of the parent, because there is no mixing of genetic materials from different mating types. So, in asexual reproduction, only a single parent is involved. So, the daughters or the offsprings will be identical to the parent, and there is no genetic variations in asexual mode of reproduction. And one of the advantages of asexual reproduction is that it actually save energy for the organism, because the organism doesn't need to find a mate. Then it also helps in reproducing in unfavorable conditions. So, there are 4 types of asexual mode of reproduction in animals. So, the first one is fission. So, during fission, an organism gets divided into 2 daughter organisms. So, we can see fission in many unicellular organisms. There are 2 types of fission: binary fission and multiple fission. In binary fission, it happens in amoeba. So, in binary fission, the parent cell elongates and divides into 2 daughter organisms. This is binary fission. So, in binary fission, the amoeba protrude and extend, and the nucleus divides, and the nucleates move to 2 ends of the extension, and slowly the cytoplasm also get divided and two daughter cells will be formed from the parent cell, and this daughter cell will be exactly identical to the parent cell. And binary fission happens in amoeba, paramecium, etc. Then the next type of fission is multiple fission. So multiple fission usually occurs in protists like plasmodium. So in multiple fission, the cytoplasm and the nucleus in the cell divide and form multiple daughter cells through fission. And the protective wall, then when the favorable conditions arises, the protective wall ruptures and releases the daughter cells. In multiple fission also, the daughter cells are exactly identical to the parent cell. So here it is shown a multiple fission in plasmodium. The next type of asexual reproduction is called budding, and budding usually happens in hydra. So this is hydra. It is a cylindrate, a marine organism. It often reproduces by the method of budding. So in budding, what happens is that a small projection of its body buds out and separates from the parent and form a separate organism. So in detail, we can see that in budding, if we take an example of hydra, first tiny bumps appear on the parent hydra, and the parent hydra develops the bud, and the bud grows, and then the bud breaks off from the parent and it will become an independent hydra. So in case of budding also, the daughter organism, the offspring, will be genetically similar to the parent. Then the next type of asexual reproduction is called fragmentation. So hydra, then starfish, etc. regenerate or develop new offsprings through the process of fragmentation. So what happens in fragmentation is that the offspring is produced from pieces of the parent. So first the adult hydra get amputated or cut into two, and each amputated part will develop into separate organisms, and that is fragmentation. So if you are taking a sample of a hydra, if we cut the hydra into 3 parts, these 3 parts will eventually develop into 3 separate organisms, but the organism will be smaller than the parent hydra. But if you are considering the genetic composition, the offsprings or the 3 offsprings generated will be exactly identical to the parent hydra. So fragmentation can also be seen in other organisms apart from hydra, and these organisms are starfish, then planaria, etc. So in case of planaria, you can see if it is cut into 2, each part will develop the rest of the body and form a separate individual. So the head part will form a tail, and the tail part will form a head. So in hydra also the same thing. Then the starfish, amputation occurs in the one of the arm of the starfish, and that arm can develop an entire new starfish out of it. Then the fourth one is called parthenogenesis. So parthenogenesis is a process by which the egg without fertilization develops into an organism. So this is a type of lizard in which this lizard species population only consists of females, and the females lay eggs which does not fertilize. Then again, by using parthenogenesis, these eggs develop into offspring females. So parthenogenesis can also be seen in honeybees. So the queen bee lays, the queen bee mates with the male bees, and the fertilization of the egg produces diploid female bees. So the male in honeybees are haploid while the females are diploid. So the haploid egg produced by the female queen is fertilized by the haploid sperm produced by the haploid male, and the diploid female bees is produced. But in case of male, the egg without fertilization develops into haploid male bees by the process of parthenogenesis. So here is an homework for you. In the next class, I want you guys to make an interactive, unique science notebook based on asexual reproduction. The book have to be interactive and it should contain all the informations that I have given to you in this class. So see you guys soon.